For this blanket, I used Bernat Blanket yarn in Vintage White. I also use Bernat Baby Blanket yarn. It's basically the same thing in Misty Jungle Green, and Bernat Blanket in Terracotta Rose. They're super bulky 6-weight yarn. I used a 10mm crochet hook. You could go down to an 8mm if you like. And each skein has 220 yards. I used about 6 skeins of the Vintage White, almost 1 whole skein of the Misty Jungle Green, and not even a half a skein of the Terracotta Rose. All right, this is one of the easiest blankets I've ever made, and I absolutely love it. I think it's the colors. These two remind me of silver jewelry. This is more of a coral color than it's looking here, a little bit lighter. And this reminds me of turquoise, so that you would see in like Southwest type of jewelry. And it was just a nice accent, and there's just enough of it in the blanket to give a nice little pop of color. So on my blanket, I chained 110, and it ended up giving me a 67-inch long blanket. It's really long. It's longer than I normally make mine, but I wanted it to be a cover for the day bed in my guest room. And it's perfect for that. It's also perfect for the end of a queen size bed. You don't have to make yours that long. Normally I would make it about 10 inches shorter. You can chain any number that you like. There's no multiple. It doesn't matter to make it as long as you want. Or if you'd rather go horizontal instead of vertically, then you can do that as well and just make it as wide as you like instead of as long as you like. We're going to come into the second chain from the hook. I usually go on the back bump. It doesn't really matter this time. This is kind of a chenille-like yarn, and it ends up with a nice little edge anyway. We're going to do half double crochet all the way across. So you yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 of those loops. That was in the second chain. And we're going to make half double crochet all the way across. Make sure you're pulling that loop up even with the others so it doesn't pull, doesn't start puckering on you. This is just a really small sample size. I just wanted to show you how I change color and the stitch that we're going to be using. It's going to be all half double crochet. It's just a little bit different because in every row, starting in row 2, we'll be going in between the stitches, which makes it so easy because you can pretty much just feel the stitches. I could almost watch a TV show and just feel the stitches, which I'm not very good at that. I always want to look directly at it, but when you're going between the stitches, it makes it a lot easier. I'll meet you at the end of this row. I know a lot of you don't like all the chatting. I'm at the end of my row. As I said, you can make yours as long as you want or as wide as you want if you wanted to make it horizontally. You should have 1 less half double crochet than however many chains you made, because you came into the second chain. So you should have 1 less. If you followed my pattern, you'd have 109 stitches, and you will continue to have however many stitches you have here for the whole blanket. And you're going to chain 2 and turn. Now you're going to go right here in between these stitches. See how you can just feel it? You can stick your finger through there and feel it. Half double crochet. Bring that loop up. If you let that loop get too tight, your project can start getting a little puckery, a little tight. So look at that. I'm not even looking, I'm just feeling it right there. Now you will want to keep your work right in front of you. Otherwise you'll start, if you're way over here, it's harder to find that spot, and you might go into the wrong spot. You might end up with two stitches in one spot. You don't want to do that. Remember, you're going right in between. Normally when you make a half double crochet, you go into the top of the stitch, but we're not doing that. Boop, there it is. All right, all the way to the end of the row. You will chain 2. You'll come back and do just exactly what you did for this row. Row 2 is a repeat. And we're going to do 6 rows total. So I will come back when I have 6 rows. I decided to show you something at the end of this second row. This is where your last stitch goes. There's your last half double crochet right there. Make sure you don't miss that one. Chain 2 and turn. This gives you a nice clean edge. I did not make a border for mine. You could. Some fringe in each color at the end of each row would be very cute. But because mine was so long and I was using it as a coverlet for the twin size bed, I chose not to. And it's just a very nice clean look. Okay, now really and truly, I will meet you at the end of row 6. I'm at the end of row 6. Isn't that a nice stitch? It also ends up with this cute line on both sides. It's reversible. However, there is one side that looks a little bit better when you change color, which is why the next section is going to be 13. It'll be an odd number so that you always end up with the little bit nicer side of the stitch, I think, on the front. So we're in the very last stitch here. Start it, but don't pull through. We're going to cut our yarn. Oh, I just heard my dogs. They're awake. You might hear them soon. Go to color B. This is actually, these two colors are Bernat Blanket. This is Bernat Baby Blanket, and it's really the same. I just liked the color. Any color combination that you like. You also don't have to have a color C if you don't want to. Just have a color B and make your 3 rows, or however you want to do it. It's your blanket. I like to pull this over, this tail. Just makes a nice clean edge. Leave yourself a little bit of a tail on your color B and pull through. Now make sure you're working with your working yarn and not your tail. I have pulled my tail through before, not the working yarn, and that's not what you want to do. So chain 2, 1, 2, flip your work, bring your current color to the front and the color you were working with to the back. You can do this however you like. I'm just showing you if you happen to be a beginner and want some help. Okay, we're going to do the same pattern, but you're working over these yarn, the yarn tails. Pull that up, pull through. Now, when you make your second one, this is just how I do it. Again, going to work over those tails, but now you're going to bring your current color tail through and just pull that all the way through. It helps to lock that in. If you go back and you have to pull some stitches out, you'll find that it's actually a little bit difficult to pull that out. I like to go another 2 stitches working over the previous color. So 4 stitches altogether. Doesn't matter. You don't have to do that. when you're all finished, you can either cut that, or if you want to, you can weave it in back and forth, up and down a little bit to lock it in, but it's not really going to go anywhere. So continue. See what I'm saying? I'm not even looking, I'm just feeling for that space in between. You're popping over the next stitch and going in between. Oop. All right, I'll meet you at the end of this row and we will change to color C if you're following my pattern. All right, we're at the end of the row. Begin your last half double. Don't pull through. We're going to cut this. Leave yourself a bit of a tail to weave over. Pull that around. Get your color C. I just really like the way these colors look. I was telling my husband, I don't know why this blanket just makes me feel happy. It's my happy blanket. Let's see, I didn't leave myself much of a tail. I'm going to pull that through because remember, we're going to pull that through the stitch later. Okay, find your working yarn. This looks really orange here. It's not. It's a terracotta color. A little dustier than this looks. Chain 2. All right. Pull your current color forward, your previous color to the back. You're going to work over both of those. Going to go in that very first stitch there, right there. Work over. Right, pull through all 3. And the next stitch, make sure you're still working over that back yarn there. Go in the next stitch, go over both of them, pull your yarn up. Now find your tail and pull that through with your working yarn. And pull that tail through. There you go. Another couple of stitches. Go ahead and work over your previous color. And again, it's going to leave a little bit of a tail, so if you want to weave that in, you can. With this thicker yarn, I tend to just, if I'm going to weave it in at all, I use a smaller crochet hook instead of a needle. It's just easier. But I'm just going to cut mine. I don't feel the need to weave them in. Okay, so just continue on to the end of the row. I wish this was showing up as the color a little bit more accurate. But it's so pretty. Let me show you. This side is just fine, but look, this is the side that I started it on. I just think that's a little bit prettier. This has the V here. This has that little twist. I just like that. That's why I was going to do 12 rows of color A after this, and I found out that I needed 13 to be able to have this on the same side. All right, so continue on. You're just going to switch at the end of your row. You're going to switch back to color B. And at the end of that row, you're going to switch back to color A and do 13 rows of color A. And then you're going to repeat this row 7, 8, and 9. And then another panel of 13. Let's see, I think we have 3 panels total. 1, 2, 3 panels of 13 with the 3 rows of colors B and C in between each. And then at the end of the last panel of 13 rows, you'll do another 3 rows of your color B and C. And the very last part of your blanket will be another 6 rows, like your beginning, 6 rows of color A. And then you just fasten off and you are done. Like I said, I did not make a border. It's really cute, really simple and clean line without it. Now, if you wanted to make fringe on the ends here and then use fringe in each of these colors, your color A, all the fringe would be here, color B, color C, color B, and then back to color A. That would be very, very cute. I decided not to do that. Also, I ended up with only this much of color B, so I would have had to buy more. Didn't want to do that. All right, in case you missed it, it's a color size 10 millimeter crochet hook, super bulky 6 Bernat Blanket yarn, but you can use any super bulky yarn that you like. And I used about 6 skeins of color A, almost 1 whole skein of color B, and not even a half a skein of color C. You have a lot left of that for another project. All right, I hope you enjoy it. Leave me comments, please. I really love to read the comments. It's like getting an email. If you have any questions, let me know. And you can look at my playlist. It has all my patterns on it. And you may find all of my written patterns for free, no ads, at www.i-crochet.com. Thanks for watching.